You alright? Welcome back again to Content Channel. So today we are going to be taking a different dive. I'm going to be showing you how I passed the 25k prop futures prop firm account. So basically you have to make 1.5 in the account for you to be given the funded live account. So I'll just be walking you through it. Easy. Let's go, let's get to it. See you. So these are the future certification I've received. The first one is from Top Step, and this one was received on February 24th of 2025. So this is the recent one I received from these guys called Take Profit Trader, and this was the email I got from them. Dear Niola, congratulations, your test has been approved by our system. Then you get a certificate. Then after you get a certificate, you'll be funded. So it was a 25k account. So I'll be going through all the trades I took in the account and explaining the strategy I used to pass the account. So let's get straight to it. So what I usually do for my prop firm account is I document the journey into passing it. So for the first day, I think I started trading this account November 2nd. That was the day I bought it, but on November 3rd was the day I started trading it. So initially this was the trade I decided to take on November 3rd, but it missed my entry. So let's just go to it if I'll be able to see it on the chart, and I'll explain why I decided to take the trade from this point. So let's go to it quickly. Super short. I'll just use NQ straight. NQ. And the chart is a bit messy because of all the trade that's been accumulated from. I did this on purpose because I left it here so I'll be able to explain easily and go to it. As November 3rd. I think this was the trade that I missed. Yes, this was the trade I missed. So on the first day, so if you see, let's just go to the daily time frame and explain what was happening in the market for this particular day. So this was November 3rd. November 3rd was around here. So the market was going down. If the market is going down, what I do is I go straight with market structure. So if the market is going down, I sell. If the market is going up, I buy. So the strategy I use basically works with market structure and looks for supply, look for demand for continuation. So if you look at it critically, the market was on the higher time frame. The market was trending high, higher low, higher low, higher high. Then it was a bit of higher low. So you can also assume that okay, the market is coming to retest. But if it's coming to retest, that means it's going to dump, maybe retest this demand, then push up again. So this was where we are around that time, November 3rd. So the idea I had on my head is okay, the market is going to retest, meaning it is dumping. So there's a chance it will dump and fill this gap because there was a gap created here, or it will dump and enter a demand zone, then push up from the demand zone. That was the initial idea I had in my head. So from there, you just trail down to 4 hours, look at it again. It was November 3rd. So it was around this time. So if you look at it, we can say, okay, there's a possible supply zone it can come to. Because if you look at the rest are balanced. This supply zone is possible for it to come to dump. Then I push it down again to see it more closely. Then so I usually take my trades when I started trading. I usually take it around New York, but I discovered that most time it's better to enter around Asia and just let it do its thing till New York. So on 45 minutes we see it clearly that okay, this point here, if you take an horizontal line, you see that okay, this point has been filled. So there's a chance that this is the imbalance on this one here. Or if you go close to the Asia zone, we'll see this one here. So this was the one I was looking at for it to fill and continue. But we see what happened, that if you go to my documentation, it did not fill, it just continued. So I missed the trade on November 3rd. So going to November 4th, I lost about minus 793. So usually I would use MNQ because if your contract size will be usually smaller in MNQ. But on November 4th, I got into a bad trade and I think I lost about 200. Then uh, maybe in a game to revenge trade or just accumulate the money lost back, I went straight to Nasdaq, the NQ, not the micro. I went to the proper one to get back the money. Then that was an irrational decision actually. So I used about one contract, and one contract was already more than 500. And for my trading plan is don't risk more than 200 or 250. So it was more than 500 and it started just going the other way. I just had to close it and go further. Just I left trading for that day and said, okay, we'll come back the next day. This was day two. So day two, I lost minus 793 on the market. Where is it? Yeah, this is November 4. It was around here. Yeah, exactly around here. So the idea I had around here was also to continue to take a continuation trade, but it stopped me out and decided to come and use this supply here to continue. So moving on, so I lost minus 793, and you must not lose more than 1.5 in the account because it's a 25k account. So if you lose more than 1.5, you'll be kicked out of the account. I already lost more than 700. This was 793, almost 1k. So in my head, I assumed, okay, you have less than 500 USD in this account. You need to take it easy now. So the next day, which was November 5th, I came into the market. I risked around, I think, 150 or so. So this was November 5th. So what I saw in the market is if you go to the 15-minute time frame, I usually take my trade from 15 minutes. So let's go to it. Let's go to 30 minutes so the chart is a bit clearer. So this was it. This was it, yeah. So like I said, I will usually set my limit or take my trade in between once it's around 12 my time, 12 a.m. because I trade in New York session. Once it's around 12 a.m. my time, this is around 12 a.m. my time, I'll just look at the market and see the possible zone the market is likely to come react from. So what I saw that since the market is in a downtrend, and usually if the market is in a downtrend, most time it doesn't create an inducement. So what I mean by inducement is if you have a supply zone that is untested. Let's say you have two supply zones. Okay, let me explain it with this. What I mean by inducement, this is a supply zone here, this is another supply zone here. So inducement is when the liquidity is swept in this one, the first zone, and it uses the second zone to continue. So usually if the market is downtrend, what I've noticed in Nasdaq, it doesn't create an inducement. Just tap the next possible zone, at least after Asia. So for Asia, this zone has been tested. So the next possible zone is this guy. So there's a chance that it won't create an inducement and sweep this one out and use this other supply zone. So this is why I set my limits here. And it tapped in around London session and New York people just took the market down. So this was the trade that made it 643. So I recovered a bit, but I still had about 100, about 100 to recover from and start making money on the account to be able to pass it. Then the second day, I think this was day 4. As usual, if the market is downtrending, just go with the market structure. There's no need for you to want to buy any when the market is dumping or sell when the market is going up. So as usual, also the second day, this was around when I set my limit. Asia session, once it was around this time, which was 12, I looked at where is the possible zone for this thing to react from. This is a supply zone, the nearest supply zone. This is it. So you can decide to come and take it from here. If you dump it down to 15, let's see if it will tap you in. Let's see if it's going to tap you in. Where is it? Okay, this is it here. So like I said, this is the nearest supply zone. This is where I set my limit. If you decide to come and take it from here, it's not going to tap you in. So that's why I said the nearest one. And the nearest one was, yeah, the nearest one was this one. That's why I took it from here. So this was the trade that had me 568 on the account. So then the next day also I decided to look at the market structure and saw that okay, this market, there's a chance it might want to come and retest high here. So if it's coming to retest here, it doesn't make sense for me to set a limit here because that would be like the whole trading day. So what I usually do for this is okay, I follow it to go and return. If it takes me out, I'm fine with it because that was my decision. So this was what happened during Asia session. So this confirmed that the market is going to come and retest from here because there was one research I did one time called 111. Let me see if I can quickly go through it quickly. Let me see, I'm coming. Notion. So fast to this. Trading. Is it back tests? Incoming situation analysis. So there's a research I did one time. So the research was I termed it situation analysis. I think I termed the situation analysis because I was watching a video and somebody was explaining something called situation analysis. So when I go to the chart, I decided to look at it. Although I've noticed it before, then I just decided to go critical into it. So the research is called 1111. So what I notice is there's a chance that if the market create a pattern, the pattern I termed it 1111. So if it creates this 111 pattern, there's a chance that if it creates it in London, there's a chance that the New York session is going to continue it. So what I mean by 1111 is when London creates all candles that are retested, that have retested itself, that means there's no imbalance in the candles. There's a chance that New York session is just going to continue the motion. And if it is Asia session that created the 111, there's a chance that London and New York will continue the session. So I tested it for January to December. Let me just show you some of them here. So for example, this is a 1111. All candle retested himself, so they just continue the same thing in New York. So this is exactly what I saw that gave me the confirmation that okay, there's a chance these people might want to take the market up till this supply. So what I did was enter there, but immediately started going up. I broke even. Like I adjusted my stop loss to this point. So this day was a loss because it came back, kicked out my stop loss, then continued till the take profit point. So if you look at it, I documented it. We had a loss minus $17 because I adjusted my stop loss when it started going my way. If I had left it here, I mean, I would have gotten out in profit in the trade. But I stick to my game of adjusting stop loss because I saw a break of structure. So no fret. Continue the next day. So the next day again, what happened the next day? I'm not sure what happened the next day. So the next day, okay, was minus $14 loss. I think what happened here is I could not get in on time, so I got in. So this is the nearest supply zone I was supposed to enter from, but I'm not sure what happened. I can't remember, but I know it kicked me out because I entered in the wrong point or something. Then so the next day was a minus $14 loss. If you look at it here on take profit, the documentation is there. So shows the whole trade. Yeah. So yeah, this was it, minus $17 loss. So let's go to November 10 and let me see what happened. Yeah, minus $17 loss. So November 10, what happened in November 10? I think was it? Let's go back to this November 10. We had $122 in profit. Let me see what happened here. Okay, so for this, it did not. I think it did not tap me in on time. So what I did was I entered on a break of structure, then got out immediately when it got to this point. So that was why the profit was 122. Like I said also, so the only reason why I'll buy in this market is if a pivot high is broken, that's when I'll consider a proper that okay, this market is trying to go back up and maybe wants to come back to sweep this high it created. That's when I'll consider a buy. But if you look at what it has been doing here, all these are called consolidation. The high I was expecting it to break for me to consider that this market wants to continue, the upper trend will be this high here. So as long as it doesn't break this high, I'll just continue following the market structure and continue looking for a sell to take the market down. So this day I made $122 because it did not tap me in the one I was expecting it to come here, but it did not tap me. It used this instead, so I missed the trade. This was the nearest one. It used this instead and dumped. So I entered at a break of structure and had about 122. Then the next day was this day. So what happened here? I think this was also a loss. Let me check. Yeah, this was minus 113. This was also a loss. It was a loss as well. I'm not sure what happened, but it was a loss. Then let's move to this November 12th, 435. November 12th was 435. 435. So this was also a sell from the demand zone. I think it was around here. So it was a sell from the demand zone. I was expecting the market to come here to retest this. It did not come. So I think, okay, yeah, I think I can remember what I did here as well. So what I did was I set on this for a retest. If you look at it, there was a demand here. Then it came back to reset. I just took it down to the end of New York session and I was out. Let me show you clearly. So if you go to 15 minutes to be clearer, but it will mess up the charts. That's why I'm using 30 minutes. So this was where I took it from around here was the short. Yeah, short it around here, put my stop loss above this point, and just took it down a bit. Then I was out around, I think I was out around the close of New York session. So the next day, I think the next day was 17th. Where is it? Okay, the next day was 13th, November 13th. So the next day was November 13th, which was 703. Where's the chart? November 13th. I think there was even documentation. For this particular day, if you want to see how I traded it, I actually documented this day on my YouTube channel. Let's go. It was there. I was live on that particular day. I was live on that particular day. Yeah, this was it. I was live on this particular day. And yeah, this was the trade. It's not just algorithmic trading. So this was the trade. I was live on that particular day. So basically, like as usual, I was looking for, let me go to 15 minutes because it's usually 15 minutes I take the trade from. Basically, as usual, I was looking for a continuation. And if you look at the market has been giving me proper confidence that, okay, yeah, the market is going to dump since we did not take this high up. So I was expecting it to come and sweep this pivot low it created. So it created an higher low, a lower low, I mean. So what happened here was also a retest of the nearest supply zone. So which one was the nearest supply zone here? We can see it from this point. This is the nearest supply zone. So this is where I took my trade from, and my stop loss was the high of the Asia session. That was where I put my stop loss. So it tapped in and just went down, and the New York guy just put a lot of force on it. Then when it sweep this low, we can see that the London guys took it down while the New York people brought it up. Immediately sweep this low. I was out of the trade. If you go back to the video, that was when I closed. If I'm not mistaken, yeah, that was exactly when I closed the trade. When it swept that down, yeah, that was when I closed the trade. So basically, simple. When the market is going down, you look for a supply zone to sell with it. When it's going up, you look for a demand zone and buy with the market when it's trending higher. So this one was one that the documentation was live on YouTube if you want to check it. So it tapped into a supply zone, then it just went straight down, and that was how I passed the account. So let's just review it from here. So day 4, no, not day 4. Let's start with Day one, November 3rd was the day I got the account. I entered into a trade. I got out and said I'll just come back the next day. Next day, November 5, I lost about minus 793, which was more than half of what you are not supposed to lose in the account. Then the next day I recovered, made 643, continuation supply zone. The next day 568 as well, continuation supply zone. The next day, missed the trade and gotten into in a ridiculous place. It kicked me out. No, 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 no. This day was when I was trying to buy up to the supply zone. So I adjusted stop loss and it kicked me out. So minus 17. This one, I didn't get in on time. I used break of structure to get in. That was why the profit was a bit 122. This day was, yes, missed the trade, got in a ridiculous place and it kicked me out. And this particular day was a break of structure entry, and this day was the last day of the trading account, which brought the account to about 26,500. You are supposed to just make 1.5 in this account and pass it. So this day was actually one of the sweetest because the profit was made even before New York session started. Like the London guys took it to my TP and I was out of the market. So yeah, so that's basically it. Drawdown. Then we went steadily on past the account. So 9 trading days, made 1.5 out of the account. Yeah, so this is the end of the video. I'll see you, and I'll continue to document the progress of the live account as well. I'll be back. Take care of yourself. Bye.